These days, virtually no scientist publicly doubts the mental life of non-human animals. Let's consider some cases in which this perception has been unavoidable, starting, not surprisingly, with monkeys. In a report published in the journal Science, 3 researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig reported on chimps exposed to 2 slightly different experimental setups. In one, the apes were able to obtain food by their solo efforts. In the other, they needed the assistance of a second individual. The subject animal could recruit another by literally taking a key, unlocking a door, and releasing the potential assistant. When no collaboration was needed, subjects did not open the door, hence, they obtained the food without being obliged to share. When the coordinated effort of 2 monkeys was required in order to get the food, subjects obtained help, of special interest, and difficult to interpret, without allowing them considerable intellectual acumen. Is this finding? When subjects were given the opportunity to choose between 2 different potential collaborators, kept in adjacent rooms, and when the subjects had been given prior experience in working with each of the 2, they preferentially released the one who had previously shown herself to be a more effective collaborator. There are at least 2 complex, interconnected parts to the mental agility herein demonstrated. First, recognizing when collaboration is and is not necessary and responding appropriately in each case. Second, ranking the collaborative value of different individuals as a result of previous interactions, remembering their relative value, and also responding differentially and appropriately to those individuals when the circumstance called for doing so. Here is another remarkable example of monkey intellect. A subordinate monkey witnessed 2 pieces of food being hidden. In one case, a dominant chimp had also been watching, whereas in the other, the subordinate was the only observer. Later, when given the opportunity, the subordinate avoided the food that the dominant knew about and took only the safe morsel, which didn't evoke the dominant's ire. It is an interesting exercise to run through, in your own human mind, the intellectual process that must have gone through that of the subordinate monkey. Here is another interesting exercise. We share about 99% of our genome with monkeys and bonobos. Isn't it possible that somewhere in the universe there exist creatures who, perhaps by virtue of simply differing in their genetic code or equivalent, by as little as another 1%, would look at us as being as much beneath them, intellectually, as so many humans perceive other animals? Nor is human-like intelligence limited to our great ape cousins. Consider the case of Rico, a 9-year-old border collie from Dortmund, Germany, whose mental gymnastics were also reported in Science, once again from Leipzig's Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology. By the time of the study, Rico had acquired a vocabulary of more than 200 words, most of them nouns, which he demonstrated by successfully retrieving 37 of 40 toys from a collection in a different room, when its name was called by his owner/interlocutor. In perhaps the most notable test, Rico showed an impressive command of logic. 7 toys, each of whose names Rico knew, were placed in a separate room along with an 8th, which was new to the dog. He was then commanded to return with this 8th item, the name of which he had not previously heard. 7 out of 10 times, Rico came back with this 8th, previously unknown object. Presumably, his internal dialogue went something like this: I'm supposed to fetch the widget, whatever that is. Here are 7 things, each of which I know, and none is a widget. So this 8th one must be it. 4 weeks later, Rico was able to remember the item 3 out of 6 times, comparable to the performance of 3-year-old children. Of course, border collies have been bred for close collaboration with human beings, and it remains to be seen whether, for example,